Hey there guys, what's up? Ragtter here, welcoming you to Ladder Anxiety, the show where we play competitive games just to have fun. Tonight we're on Pokémon Showdown, playing the underused tier, with a team that I built around a sweeping Celebi, because in underused, Celebi actually has a lot of chances to shine. And the big stipulation on this team is that this Hydreigon was made by my friend Chad, so his link will be in the description, go check him out. The other big thing with this episode is it's being done in post-com. All of my opponents tonight decided to dilly-dally, so in order to maintain the momentum and keep things going nice and fresh, I just decided we'd do post-com. Now, I led off with my dedicated lead Mamoswine, it's got a Focus Sash, I got off my Stealth Rocks, and even though I got knocked down to my Sash, with my Ice Shard I managed to pick up the KO onto that Roserade. Now Abomasnow's gonna come in and actually make a bit of a misplay here. I figured I could go for the Endeavor to lower it down to 1 HP. I forgot that Abomasnow would also get Ice Shard. So, Mamoswine takes a hit for the team, but that's perfectly okay. I have a lot of options to deal with the Mamoswine, and if you hadn't noticed, by the way, this first opponent decided to bring an all-grass team. Took their sweet time, brought all grass. Very classy. So, I pretty much have free reign to go for Sacred Fire on almost that whole team. The biggest thing standing in my way is Chestnut, because Chestnut can come in with Spiky Shield. Now Cradily, I'm not 100% certain I can get their one-hit KO on, courtesy of its rock secondary typing, or is it primary? I can't remember. But I do decide to go into Celebi to maybe start getting a sweep going, though against an all-grass team it's not the most optimal. So I go for the Nasty Plot, which is my main setup move of course, and I take the Sludge Bomb, and of course, on the first Sludge Bomb, I get poisoned. Wouldn't you know it? And between that and the Hail, I'm chipped down to lower than half of my normal HP, and I am forced to go for the Giga Drain to try and get some of my HP back. Now as the Hail fades, I am going to keep my Celebi around just a little bit longer, and I'm going to go for another Giga Drain just to offset the Life Orb damage that I've been taking so far. However, my opponent doesn't want to lose Cradily just yet, switches into Shaman, and I do get a nice boost of HP from that, but Shaman doesn't take the most damage. And I decide I'm just going to go for the Psychic, just to try and whittle it down, maybe pick up the KO. But Shaman's packing that Quick Attack, and down goes my poor Celebi. Now, I do have a number of options here, and I decide to go into Papa, the Entei, and I say, Papa, I wish for that Shaman to be gone. And Papa says, if that is what you wish. He takes the Psychic like a champion, and blows Shaman away with Sacred Fire. Utter annihilation, rather. Now I'm left with 3 grass types on my opponent's side, only one of which can reliably take the Sacred Fire, and Cradily could take it if it was at full HP, I think. I haven't run the damage calc, but Entei is going to take some Leech Seed damage as I go for the Sacred Fire, and then Chestnut's going to come in. And here's where I'm like, I'm going to lose a lot of HP here, aren't I? I go for the Sacred Fire into the Spiky Shield, gonna lose HP from that, gonna lose HP from the Leech Seed, but it wasn't as much as I thought. I overestimated the potency of Spiky Shield. So now I go for Sacred Fire again, because I know Chestnut can't really do anything to me. It goes down in one hit, courtesy of a crit, and Cradily's gonna come out to make one last stand. However, it's not gonna go down easy. This guy's got it in his head that through his leftovers and through Leech Seed, if he double protects, he might be able to take it on. But it would just be Cradily against the world at that point, as I do still have Hydreigon and Sylveon that could damage it. My Suicune only has Scald, so if that thing is carrying Storm Drain, I'm not hitting it. So, now it's time to move into the next battle, against an opponent that brought a very interesting team. We got a couple RU hits in here. At least I think Noivern and Drapion are RU. And I have no idea where Torterra is, but that's besides the point. So, this was the opponent that caused me so much grief with all of the... I'm not going to say stalling, I'm just going to say slow turns. We'll put it that way very nicely. So we're going to trade hazards up here. I get some nice sticky webs, he gets some nice stealth rocks, and he goes for the bug buzz as I go for the earthquake. I am going to knock him down to his sash, and naturally this is what Mamoswine is best at. Taking out other opposing leads with its Ice Shard, and then fighting dragons. I never would have imagined that he'd bring in this Noivern against my Mamoswine. It caught me off guard completely. Maybe that was part of his plan though, as he does bring in Arcanine afterwards, and Arcanine cleans up my Mamoswine. Now if I was smart, I would have gone for the Ice Shard just to get a bit more chip damage, but I wasn't really thinking that far ahead at that point. I was just kind of thinking maybe he won't hurt me and maybe I can get off an Earthquake. Now here, I decide to try and get a turn of setup since I know the Arcanine isn't going to want to stay in, or it's going to go for the Wild Charge, which I should be able to take because I'm a physically invested Suicune. And he brings in Drapion, and I'm expecting the Whirlwind, so I didn't go for a second Calm Mind, even though I probably could have, and he just shows the knockoff. I also show that I am able to deal quite a bit of damage with no special attack investment and one Calm Mind. So I go for Scald again. I'm like, come on, give me the burn. Give me one burn. One burn's all I'm asking for. Now he goes for the taunt, probably anticipating that this Drapion's gonna go down and he wants to stop the rest talk or the Calm Mind setup that I would have going on. But that's not the case. I'm just spamming Scalds, and his next Poison Jab gets the poison. I can't get a burn to save my life, but he gets poison. That's not fair. So anyway, now he's gonna send out Cobalion, and I'm like, ah, crap. This thing's hard for me to deal with. If I stay in, he'll probably try to set up, or he'll just clean my clock with a close combat or something. And I decide that the best way to deal with this is to go into Hydreigon. Now I hear what you're thinking. That was dumb, don't do that. But this is a physically defensive monster of a Hydreigon. Look at how well I take that Sacred Sword. I am able to fire off a Thunder Wave onto Cobalion, and thus put a big damper on any potential sweep it wants in the future. Now, again, I overestimate the potency of my team here. I go into Celebi, and while it is a free switch courtesy of that paralysis, I go for the Nasty Plot. He hits me with an Iron Head, and I immediately see that I'm in trouble. Like, a lot of trouble. So I go for the Giga Drain, and I actually get a ton of HP back. I'm like, yes, I can actually do this. Cobalion falls low, and I decide I'm just going to hit Giga Drain again to once again try and offset the Life Orb damage that I'm taking. And Cobalion's going to go down, but I'm now left against Arcanine and Torterra. And I figured, what's Torterra going to do to me? So I go for the Psychic, and I'm able to knock it out in one hit. If it had a Sash, it got broken by the rocks, though I don't know of what sets Torterra likes to run. Don't run into it that often. But Arcanine's going to clean up with its extreme speed, and I am left with 4 Pokemon, but before I can pick, my opponent decides to forfeit, which is just fine with me. So here I run into the trickiest opponent of the night. He leads off with Vivillon, and I lead off with my Mamoswine. I want to immediately get my rocks up so I can force this thing out by presence alone, but he goes for the Sleep Powder and starts setting up Quiver Dance. In retrospect, probably would have been smarter to go for the Ice Shard, but hey, hindsight's 20/20. And Mamoswine knows what's up. He wakes up right away, and I'm going to be able to fire off my Ice Shard after I've gotten my Stealth Rocks up. Now I want to point out that the break you're seeing is after I've cut out time from the battle. I'm leaving this in deliberately to show you why this had to be a post-commentary video. So Vivillon gets its Sleep Powder off again, though I am able to knock it severely low with my Ice Shard, and the next Hurricane is going to knock Mamoswine down to his Focus Sash. And unlike last time, I'm not going to get a good roll of the dice, and Mamoswine is going to be knocked out by the Bug Buzz. But now it's time for Papa to come in, and I said, Papa, please hit his whole team for nasty amounts of damage, and Papa said, if that is what you wish. And Extreme Speed is going to take off a huge chunk of Tentacruel's HP, but Tentacruel poses a problem, as I don't want to risk Entei's HP just yet. So I switch into Toothless, because if he went for the knockoff, anticipating my switch into Celebi maybe, then if I had to lose an item on somebody, it would be Toothless. But he's just going to go for the Rapid Spin, get rid of my rocks, which was smart on his part, and I'm going to get off a Thunder Wave to paralyze his Tentacruel. Now, my Toothless is burned. By the way, that was on his first Scald. Where was my burn? And I'm debating what to go into next. I have a lot of options, but nothing I really want to go toe-to-toe with a Tentacruel. I decide to go into Celebi in the end, which ended up being a not very good play, as he goes for the Acid Spray. But Celebi's packing that Psychic, and I'm able, with one hit, to cleanly knock out the Tentacruel, so no big deal there. Now Aggron's gonna come back out, or come out in the first place. I fight multiple Aggrons in this video. and he's gonna Mega Evolve, and my intention with this was to Thunder Wave him. Turns out he wanted to go for the Thunder Wave onto my Celebi, and I was like, ain't that a coinky-dink, I have Thunder Wave too. So he goes for the Stealth Rocks, and I don't have a Spinner or a Defogger on this team, I don't really need it. Only Entei is particularly vulnerable to it, and Mamoswine's Focus Sash, but that typically gets broken as he's a lead anyway. So I go out into Jace the Suicune, and my intention had been to try and set up Calm Minds and scout for that Dragon Tail. He hits me with that Dragon Tail. It's like, okay, that's fine. Now Celebi's out here, and I want so badly to be able to do something with this next turn. It would be so easy for my opponent to just sit there and spam Dragon Tail. I want to be able to accomplish something, so here you can see me weighing my odds, and I decide I want to see how much my Giga Drain will do, and a critical hit did okay. Not a whole lot though, so I resolved to going for Psychic to try and reduce Aggron's special defense. But it's not gonna happen. I commit Honorable Sudoku with my Life Orb, and Celebi's gonna go down. Now I'm left with the choice, who do I use to clean up this kind of mid-tier scuffle? I could go with Suicune, I could go with Entei. I choose Suicune over Entei because that thing still got a lot of HP and a lot of physical bulk, and not only that, but he has his own Entei and that Conkeldurr, which I'm very leery of so far. So I'm going to hit it with Scald. He's going to do a lot of damage to me, but that's going to bring in... he's going to do some damage to me with the Dragon Tail, but that's going to bring in my Entei, and I'm going to be able to Sacred Fire his Mega Aggron into the next dimension. And at this point, I'm feeling confident. I'm like, maybe we've got this after all. But then he brings in Conkeldurr, and I'm scared, frankly. I want to go for the Sacred Fire, but I don't want to burn that thing in case it's running Guts, which I almost assure you it is. So I decide to switch into Suicune, who's pretty physically bulky, to scout what it wants to go for, and it turns out he had been anticipating my Sylveon as he goes for the Poison Jam, and his Flame Orb kicks into gear. So I'm like, alright. I know what this thing wants to do to me, I know what to expect, I'm just going to try and get what damage I can. I go for Scald, as he goes for the knockoff. I'm able to deal about a third, it comes down to about 40% courtesy of the burn damage, but Suicune is going to get knocked out in the end. Now we gotta go into Hugs the Sylveon, and I decide to go for the Hyper Voice over the Psyshock. In retrospect, once again, probably would have been smarter to go for the Psyshock. Decided, nah, it's not a day to be smart. It's a day to be cautious, and it costs me. So now I head out into Toothless the Hydreigon, and I'm going to take the Stone Edge not very nicely, and I know I basically lost at this point, at least with my Hydreigon, because he has the extreme speed. Though he does confuse me here, because I don't know what item this Entei's running. It's probably an Assault Vest, if I had to take a guess. But it still surprised me that it wasn't a Choice Band Entei, because that's what I'm used to seeing. So he goes for the extreme speed, and I go for Stone Edge. Knock that Entei completely out of the park, and now I'm left with just Entei and just Sylveon versus Kyurem, Vivian, and Conkeldurr. And my poor Papa is gonna fall, and it falls on Hugs to clean up. Now, again, if I had gone for Psyshock earlier, I probably wouldn't be in this bind, but now at least I'm able to safely go for Hyper Voice. However, Vivian is quite a bit faster than my Sylveon. It's gonna put me to sleep. One Hurricane is gonna spell the end for this match. So that was unfortunate, but it was a good match anyway. I was pretty pleased about that. My team did well against threats that I wasn't necessarily prepared for, and I see the mistakes that led to my downfall in that game to begin with. So hey, what are you gonna do? Now against this team, I noticed my opponents running some outdated threats. Donphan and Vaporeon haven't really been considered meta standard in Underused for quite a while. So he busts out Aggron, and I'm expecting us to trade Stealth Rocks. You know, you can have some of my Pebbles, I will have some of yours, and in the end we will both have more Pebbles for it. But he just goes for the Heavy Slam. As I go for the Earthquake to deal some damage, he goes for a Stone Edge, knocks me quite low, and for some reason I thought he might try to go into Salamence, anticipating the Earthquake. But I was predicting too far ahead, so my Endeavor knocks him pretty low, but not low enough. And now it's time for Papa to clean up once more. And I say, Papa, I wish for Aggron to be gone. And Papa says, if that is what you wish. So, Entei gonna knock out the Aggron, or it would have knocked out the Aggron rather, but he switches into his Donphan. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. And Donphan not going to take the Sacred Fire very nicely at all. I'm in fact going to get the burn, and then I'm going to knock it out with one more Sacred Fire. And that's part of the reason why Donphan fell out of favor. It just doesn't really have the bulk to compete. Now here's that Salamence I was predicting earlier, and I don't want to mess with it with my Entei, although I do have the Stone Edge for a Pokemon like this. And I make a bit of a ballsy play because Salamence tend to run I think it's the Iron Head these days, or it might be, I can't remember what it is, I haven't played for a while, but they do tend to run something for fairy coverage. But he actually just goes for the Draco Meteor, and I'm able to get a free switch into my Hugs basically. And even my Hyper Voice does a ton of damage to that Florges, but here's where Florges starts to get annoying. As I bring in Entei, I know for fact and for true he's going to go for the Protect. I just go for the Sacred Fire just because it's my favorite damaging move, and it won't recoil my HP. Now he's going to switch out into Vaporeon, and I'm like, come on, give me the burn on this thing. And Papa said, if that is what you wish, and gives me the burn on the Vaporeon. So now I'm a bit more set up against Vaporeon than I was previously. So I'm going to go into Celebi, and I want to start setting up. Now Vaporeon shows that it also carries the Wish, and I decide I'm going to go for the Nasty Plot to try and get my sweep going here. But Aggron's going to get most of its HP back with that Wish, and my Giga Drain is going to do about 30%. I can't quite see the number from here, but that did not quite enough, and I decide once again I'll just go for Psychic to try and lower its special defense, get it as weak as possible for my next Pokemon. And sure enough, I do get the special D drop, and it is put into the red. Now, I know I can win with Sylveon, but I had some doubts as to whether or not I could outspeed it, because I forgot for an instant just how low Mega Aggron's speed is. If you couldn't tell, I haven't played Underused for quite a while. I've been pretty busy, and I've been focusing my efforts on the trading card game. So coming back in was a bit of a rude awakening, but I am able to pick up the KO with Sylveon. Hugs doing work tonight, and against pretty much the rest of his team, bar this Florges, Hugs is the perfect Pokemon. Now, I know I did a lot with it before, so I'm gonna force Florges down into low HP again, and now my plan is to switch back into Papa and deal damage on the physical side. Also, this will allow me to shuffle up Sylveon's choice items, since Sylveon is running choice specs. Entei ends up taking the Moonblast and getting his special attack dropped, which is like, oh no, I'm so scared. And predicting the Vaporeon to come back out, I decide to go for Extreme Speed this time, or maybe even the Salamence. Though I was definitely in my head thinking of Vaporeon. But Florges is going to go for the Protect, going to stall out the PP on my Extreme Speed. But I do finally get it off, and I see that without the leftovers, that is a very, very clean 2-hit KO. But Florges is going for the Wish again, so I need to change up my strategy because I know it's just going to Protect again to try and stall out my PP. So I'm going to go into Sylveon, who's packing the Psyshock, and with Psyshock, I can hit Florges on its much weaker defense stat, since clearly this thing's pretty specially invested. So Sylveon takes the Moonblast, I go for the Psyshock. It did about as much as Entei's Extreme Speed, so I was pretty gosh darn pleased by that. And as I decide to go for a second Psyshock, my opponent decides to forfeit, probably realizing that Sylveon could clean up at that point, and that was game. So that was my session of Pokemon Showdown that night. I had a lot of fun, my team performed well, and I was very, very pleased with how my performance was after taking so long off. So, I think we can wrap up the video there, actually. If you have enjoyed this episode of Ladder Anxiety, then please let me know with a like and a comment down below, and let me know what your favorite underused Pokemon is if you have one. Also, let me know if you liked the post-com style. I will be returning to live commentary as soon as my opponents decide not to be slowpokes, but hey, you know, you can't control everything, and this was a pretty neat alternative. It was a very interesting exercise doing post-com about the battle instead of just talking over the battle. So maybe we'll bring that back as a regular thing. I don't know. But until next time, be sure to take care and have a good one. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye-bye. Smash.
What is this man running?
Para, yes!
Nice.
Dude, my Melotic is putting in work. Y'all doubted it.
Coming
Oh,
through.
explosion.
He popped like a balloon! And we
This
made
man shell smashed and then exploded.
Nice fucking try, bro.